relationships have their ups and downs, especially those lasting 80 years. But today, the National Party called time on its partnership with the Liberals. And former Prime Minister John Howard reminds us disunity is death. He joined me in the studio late this afternoon. So, Mr. Howard, just when we thought it couldn't get any worse for Conservative politics, it does. What are they doing to the partnership that you are so proud of?
Well, I don't think it will last forever, but it's a stupid move. And it's better together. I remember when I was selected Prime Minister way back in 1996, we had a massive victory. Huge number of seats won. The Liberal Party then could have governed in its own right.
So why didn't you ditch the Nationals?
No, well, why didn't we? Well, for the very simple reason it would have dishonoured the partnership between Tim Fischer as leader of the National Party, late Tim Fischer, and me, would be taken to the Australian public. And I also knew that at the next election we would lose seats. But within weeks, that gesture was repaid in spades over guns, because the gun control laws that I brought in after the Port Arthur massacre were very unpopular in a lot of National Party circles.
So the national support at that time was crucial in, I guess, in many ways, bringing regional Australia along with you with those reforms.
Well, of course it was. And again, we've demonstrated that our glory days are when we work together. So I would say to both the parties, remember that. And if you've got policy differences, which inevitably you have, resolve them.
So whose fault is it? Is it the Liberals for losing their way, or is it the Nationals for throwing their toys out of the cot?
There's always blame on both sides. My advice is try and re-establish the framework of a coalition as quickly as possible.
I mean, you were Liberal leader in '87 when the Queensland National Party blew up the coalition. What were the consequences?
Well, the consequences were that the Labor Party was returned with a bigger majority. But memories are long, and disunity is death, and all those old sayings. There's truth in those remarks, but there's also truth in something that I think it's right in saying Winston Churchill remarked. He said, in politics things are never as bad as they seem or as good as they seem. Now, I would say to supporters of the Liberal and National parties out there, things aren't as bad as they seem. And I'd say to supporters of the Labor Party, don't get too carried away. Things aren't as good as they seem.
All right, so you're saying there's still plenty of hope?
I am saying that, but it will take an understanding of coalition history, that when you work together, you win together, and also a personal determination by Susan Lee and David Littleproud to make it work.
Well, we did hear from Susan Lee this afternoon, the opposition leader, and can I just say I really feel for her right now, that she's dealing with all of this after just
it's very
her
tough. She's a tough country girl.
That she is. And look, she said the door remains open but stressed the Liberals need to modernise. That might work for voters, but will it work for the Nationals?
Well, I don't think the Nationals are necessarily old-fashioned. Well, there's some suggestion there are differences about nuclear power. I mean, I personally think nuclear power is part of the solution. I think it would be appalling if the coalition would walk away from nuclear power. There's some debate about net zero. I understand that. I'm a bit of a sceptic on that, but I don't have a vote anymore. I'm just a former Prime Minister.
Yeah, but you're a former Prime Minister that they will listen to.
Well, I hope they listen to me when I say resolve the differences within the framework of a coalition.
Do you think they can survive without each other?
Oh, look, nothing is as bad as it seems. No, I don't think either party is going to disappear. All this talk about being the end for this or that party, that's not going to happen. That happened about the Labor Party a few years ago when they did that.
You never know, though, that they split, then maybe they can't find a way back together.
Well, I am certain of this, that the longer they stay apart, the differences will harden. I mean, if you have separate spokesmen on economic policy or industrial relations policy, they will tend to emphasise their own party's point of view rather than the joint point of view. And that worries me a lot. And I just say for that and other reasons, see this as a short-term mistake, not as a long-term response.
You know what though, Mr Howard, I always advise my friends against getting back with their exes.
Well, that's different matter. No, I
You
don't...
break up for a reason.
yeah, but, you know, that's true. But I've known people that... I know somebody who remarried after being separated for 18 years.
Oh, well, there you go.
and they're gloriously in love again.
That is wonderful to hear. So you know what? Maybe they kiss and make up next week, or otherwise Susan Lee unfollows Little Proud on Instagram and goes no contact and ghosts him.
Well, look, I can't handle all that, all the lingo of social media, Ellie. I'm not into that. But it's not going to be repaired tomorrow. But the longer they stay apart, the more attitudes will harden. That happens in politics. May not always happen in life, but it does in politics.
Very, very wise. Thank you, Mr Howard.
Thank you.